Well, here we are, back again to do this video once again, because they've updated it once again.
Of course.
So, here we are to give you the latest and greatest information on how to buy a handgun in New Jersey, which will also apply to other guns that you want to purchase, long guns, whatever the case is. But specifically, we're going to talk through the process of a handgun just because it will cover off on rifles, shotguns, long guns, that types of stuff. So to jump right into it, and like we've done in the past, the step-by-step process will also be in the description down below. Any links that you will need to go to get any of the information will also be down below. And if you follow the quick, simple steps, it is a process to go through it, and we know it's annoying and it's unnecessary, and we don't necessarily agree with it. But it is the steps that you have to go through in order to get a gun in New Jersey. So to get right into it, the first thing that you're gonna have to do is to get your local PD's ORI number, which more or less is, I forget the exact acronym what ORI stands for, but it's you're essentially like your town number. And we'll put a link down in the description where you can find out all the ORI numbers in New Jersey. So if you just click on that link, you can find that ORI number, and you'll need that for step number 2, which is after that point you have to go to www.njportal.com/FARS, F-A-R-S, which I'll also put in the description down below, and begin your application. Now the first thing it's going to ask you is for that ORI number, so that's why I said you have to get that. And then there, just to caveat a couple of things, if you are intending to purchase a handgun, and this is where sometimes people trip up, so definitely be careful. The process itself is only to get your FID when you apply for that. You also need to select off that you are applying for a handgun permit as well. And you can put in the quantity of handgun permits at that point. But if you do intend on purchasing a handgun, and it's the first time that you're applying for this, you need to also select that off that you're applying for handguns. If it is not your first time purchasing or getting your FID, and you're just going to get a handgun permit, you would just select off handgun permit. So once you do that, you're going to, of course, go through the whole application process. They're going to ask for your ORI number, your personal info, 2 references. Make sure you have 2 references that know that you're filling this out, that is going to get the email and, fill them out in time. It's just a couple questions. It literally takes 30 seconds for the references to do that. And then at the end, if it is your first time applying for your FID, it's going to take you through the process to get fingerprinted. It's going to let you schedule an appointment with Identigo, which is a fingerprinting agency. And really from there, all you're going to have to do then is take that application that you've got, that's the kind of the semi-completed application, I will say, to Identigo with you. They will fingerprint you, and then at that point you really just wait. You'll wait until you'll get probably a couple emails saying that you've been confirmed, or your application has been approved. All those emails, more or less, not that they don't matter, because they certainly do matter, but none of those emails are going to give you any sort of trigger to do anything until you get a call or an email or however they plan on contacting you from your local PD. Your local PD is going to say, hey, your FID is ready, your handgun permits are ready, whatever the case is. But now, which is different, which is where I want to kind of go off on a little bit of a different note, is the handgun permits are all online now. So you don't have to physically pick up a handgun permit when you go to your police department. If you're applying for the FID, you'll get your FID, but they won't give you a separate handgun permit. They're all online, and you don't have to worry about them to a degree, because you're not going to have any sort of physical possession of a handgun permit on you. It's going to be in a system kind of where they're in a queue, and which is the last step. Once you have that FID, take your FID, your driver's license, or your proof of residency, go down to your local gun shop, or wherever you plan on purchasing a firearm from, and they will be able to pull up your handgun permits on their end. So it really more or less hasn't changed, but no. It's just, I think they're trying to make it a little easier, but it's really the same process, at least in my opinion.
Well, I mean, at what point do you have to go, don't you have to sign some of the paperwork in front of them still?
You still have to sign the FID card in front of them. I don't know if when you go to get
Well, that's
your
the actual
handgun
pickup
permits,
then.
yes,
That's the actual pickup.
I don't know if when you go to get your actual handgun permits, I guess you could say in the queue online, if you have to sign anything, you may have to, but they won't be handing you a physical paper permit if you're familiar with that in the past, where you would have a separate handgun permit for every handgun that you purchase. You still do have that, it's just not in your possession. It's all online now. So,
well, the paperwork that you download in order to apply for an FID card / pistol permit, there's a part on there where you actually have to sign and date. Do you need to sign and date that in front of somebody? That's my...
They will probably prompt you to do it, whether or not it's in person or it's on the website. It'll tell you. It'll say... It shouldn't say, make sure you sign this now, and then they turn around and say, oh, no, you shouldn't have signed that, because I'm pretty sure that if there's anything you need to sign in person, they'll make sure you do that when you go down to the local police department.
Okay, all right, okay.
So, if there is anything you need to, I think really more or less there's nothing you sign on the online application. I think it's just something that you go in and you pay whatever fee that they charge you, which is, I believe, it's like a $25 fee for like the background check or something like that, and then it's another fee for fingerprinting as well, $50 for the fingerprinting. So it can add up. And then when you go in to pick up your FID and your permits, or issue your permits, it's $5 for the FID, $2 for the permits. So that may change.
Charging you for a right.
Yes, exactly.
On many different levels. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So
what a sin.
More or less, once you do that whole process, you go down to your police department and you get those. That's the last step. Then you can finally, after all that, go buy the handgun or rifle, whatever you're trying to purchase. And when you go to do that, don't get too excited. You're going to go through another background check. So
right?
Another $15 when you go to physically buy whatever gun you've picked out. And you're going to go through another background check, which right now at the filming of this video, I believe they're like a couple days backed up. So you may have to wait a few more days.
Is that still $15 or did that
still
go up?
$15 for a next background check. Yep. So, but that may go up too. But
so now New Jersey is kind of bad because other states like say Pennsylvania or North Carolina or some of those other states, New Hampshire, and then of course if you go out west, they do not require all those fees. You just, when you have your driver's license, that is your identification.
Yes,
absolutely. So as long as you have a clean background. See, that's what I'm saying.
Most states...
look at how much stuff they get away with here.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Everybody's, okay, this fee and that fee. It's really ridiculous. They should not be charging. They should not be charging for any of that stuff.
Yeah. Most states you don't have to go.
Not for something that's in the Bill of Rights.
You do not have to go and do this whole FID permit process. You would just go in with your state-issued driver's license. You'd still go through a background check, the next background check, but that's the only thing you would do. You wouldn't have to go through this whole process to get fingerprinted and blah, 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 that I've mentioned before.
Much harder here. Much harder, much stricter.
So, we've got to love New Jersey and all their different caveats, but they have made this process to where it's somewhat online, to where there's, I guess, less paperwork involved to some degree, but you still need to go through it. And that's also, too, just a caveat that every handgun that you buy, so say you buy one handgun and you only get one permit and you want another handgun, you've got to re-go through the whole application to get the handgun permits. Not the FID again, but you need to get more handgun permits. So you have to go through this again. You won't have to go through the fingerprinting. You'll just have to apply online and really more or less wait for them to do another background check, a mental health record check, wherever they do, and then call you to pick it up. Yeah. So that's every handgun. As per handgun. No matter how many handguns you have in New Jersey. Yeah, you could have 50, and you still have to do that.
The FID, though, will allow you to buy long guns all day long, ammunition.
Yep. If you want, like, an AR-15, you do not need a handgun permit. You could just go in. If you already have your FID card, you can go in with your driver's license and your FID, so long as they match the addresses, or you've changed your address on the DMV website and it reflects that. A lot of FFLs can just print that out, that you've got the same address. As long as your FID has the right address, that's really all that matters. So not to get off on
Yeah,
too much of a tangent,
absolutely.
but that's really the updated process. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. But again, it'll be in the description if you want to refer back to it and just on like a step-by-step basis what you need to do. So good luck. Welcome all the new gun owners, and we'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully you've subscribed to us by now. We've got a lot of New Jersey content and a lot more in the pipeline. So stay tuned. Cheers.
Take care.